Hey guys, welcome back. I'm excited to be making this video because we have new equipment, we have the lighting, we have sound reverb, these things. We got these things more strewn about the room, so audio should be good. Everything video-wise hopefully is good. But I wanted to make this video because I have some tech choices I wanted to go over for everyone playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Whether it is you're playing locals or regionals or YCSs or worlds or whatever, I feel like there's some cards that people tend to forget. So I just wanted to just make a quick video. I'm not gonna spend too long talking about each tech option, just kind of briefly glossing over everything. But there's a lot of cards people are forgetting or that were good maybe 2 months ago or a year ago that, it's not like the card is bad. There's definitely, different formats. Like, one could argue that last year was very hand trap heavy. It was a hand trap format. Nowadays, it's like the decks that are running around, all the meta decks and everything, and the decks coming down the road that are getting support in the coming months are decks that one Ash, one Imperm, one anything doesn't do much. You have to have the big blowout cards. You have to have the Dark Ruler plus the Evenly. You gotta have the Droll. You gotta have double Chummy. You gotta have something that just hard stops your opponent, because there is no deck nowadays that'll just hard stop to just an Imperm or just an Ash. So yeah, we'll get into it. So the first one I want to go over is Deck Lockdown. Deck Lockdown is just a crazy card no matter what you're playing against. It's, one could argue Stun can have a hard time against it because they have to do some searching. Although I guess Stun does draw, never mind that. Deck Lockdown, I mean, it hits any deck under the sun. It hits all the meta decks, it hits all your Blue Eyes decks, it hits Hero, I mean, it does anything. And, it's at 3, so go nuts with it. And then next option, I'll put the going first cards, and then we'll go second, and then just some honorable mentions towards the end. So the Strikes, Solemn, and Judgment, still fantastic cards. You're giving yourself that solid back row. It's yet to be a format where people are going a lot of back row hate, your Cosmics. People still play Duster and Lightning Storm, but it seems to be kind of hit or miss, and Duster being at 1 and Storm being at 2. Unlikely that, people will just blow your back row out. And having a well-timed strike, it negates, destroys a summon. Judgment can negate anything, and because it's a counter trap that can't respond, it's solid. And there's not once per turn clauses on them, so if you draw 2 strikes and some engine and you get stopped halfway along, cool, you got some strikes to hold it down until you can kind of dial it back on the next turn and follow up. And then the really big card that I think people are kind of already talking about, but it's a card that will always be good, and I can definitely see on the next ban list it getting limited to 1, maybe 2, is Thrust, because there is so many Thrust targets out there that it's just an insane card not to have. But it also doubles as a going first card if, for example, in White Forest, I can search for Tails, or I can grab my Hallowed Azumina because they're normal spells. I can grab Morian, which is a normal trap. There's more than just setting back row for Thrust. It also has that application of being able to get engine as well. And this is just again, a broad, I'm not going for a specific deck or every meta deck should be playing this. This is, just, hey, consider all these options and take it to whatever your deck it is you're playing. So the Thrust targets just being, you got Talent, Barrier. I think Barrier is going forward for the rest of this year, if you're going to be doing competitive, Barrier is just gonna hit most of the decks. You got your, there's not a lot of link strong decks, granted, yummy, but they also just play the one link, and then they use that link to go into Synchro, so you can just call Synchro, they're not playing the game. So, and Barrier is also at 3. Do I think it should be at 3? No, but it is what it is, I guess. And then Different Dimension Ground, it's, you know, any card that blows a deck out like that of everything going, or no, any monster sent to the graveyard, that can be huge for any deck. I mean, I can't think of a deck that can play through Shifter right now, just cleanly. And being able to set Different Dimension Ground off of Thrust, it's also a card at 3, so do with that what you will. And then Mistress of the Gnomes, it's a card I am going to be playing, just because we have a lot of meta at locals, but it's also a card I can Foolish Burial and Foolish Burial goods and still get the same effect. Cool. All right, because I have Blackout Laughs, I have Morian, I have a ton of stuff I can send off of goods. Mischief of the Gnomes just made the list because, you know, a lot of Raizo Mitsurugi, if you throw off their numbers, they're done. Now going kind of in the more board breaker sense of just my opinion. Again, this isn't like, oh, my tier list. This is just a reminder, hey, these cards exist and y'all should keep them in mind. Whether you're playing against them or playing with them, keep these cards in mind. Salesman, MVP. I mean, I love this card. Being able to declare a card name. Granted, you know, if you call a draw, you cannot draw your opponent. This is kind of like you're cleaning out the game because you're either able to call a chummy or draw or some blowout card. You know, if Super Poly is becoming more popular where you're at and you're breaking into a board, you can Sales Ban call Super Poly if you know your deck is going to lose hard to Super Poly. There's a lot of applications for Sales Ban, and which is why I think it's such a great card, being able to declare a name, any card name, and then your opponent cannot use that this turn. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can even call like Judgment, and they're forced to use Judgment if you think that they're using a Judgment card, or Strike, or you know, it's very like gamble. But if you hit big time. You protect yourself from that one card that you know, hey, my hand loses to Nib if you're playing hero, or you know, just being able to call any name and have that protection clean. Ultimate Slayer, I'm not gonna go over this too much. Ultimate Slayer is just a great board breaker. Now that Dweller is out and a lot of the toxic cards are out for that quick effect, because that was always the problem with Ultimate Slayer, is that it wasn't quick enough, so a lot of people resorted to using Xyz Encore, which I think Xyz Encore, it's on the honorable mention list. It, again, just build tailored to the event you're going to. It's not like Ryzel is doing a whole lot right now in the meta decks. It's either Mitsurugi Ryzel or just pure Mitsurugi, what we're seeing a lot of right now. But yeah, Ultimate Slayer, don't forget about it. Droplet, Forbidden Droplet, if your deck can play it, it can be pretty good, especially now that the chummies are pretty popular. People are playing 6 in the main and, you know, another 3 in the side. Or, you know, they got 6 chummies in the side, 3 in the main, whatever. There's gonna be a lot of potential draw power. So being able to Forbidden Droplet is just a great card because you could do it in battle, damage step. There's a lot of applications to use Forbidden Droplet to its full effect. And then I want to talk about the twins. You've got Evenly and Dark Ruler. And I call them the twins because if you see both of them in your hand, you're playing the game. Your opponent's not playing the game, you're playing the game, because being able to main phase 1, Dark Ruler, battle phase, evenly clear up the board, if they cannot negate that evenly through a back row that they've set, they're done. The whole board, you just cleared it, and you know, Dark Ruler having that stipulation of, you know, you can't do damage, and evenly you have to use your battle phase. They're the twins, because you're not gonna kill your opponent right then and there. You're gonna have to, in main phase 2, build a board that your opponent can't follow up with, and that's why Evenly is so good, because the board they did have is now cleaned up and it's done. There's no board left. They're all banished face down. They had to make that decision to keep the one card. You're chilling. So yeah, the twins. And then the chummies, all 3 of them. Just a chummy format. I mean, now that they've been reprinted, especially Fuelos, there's no reason not to play him. It's free draw power. It's one of those cards that it's a blowout card, just like Droll. If you get double fluid, your opponent's gonna sit there and contemplate, how far do I wanna take this? And sometimes they just pass right there, and that was enough to board break. Or they give you a ton of draw power and you've got everything you need, and you drew into your, Forbidden Droplets, you drew into your Ultimate Slayers, you drew into anything that you would need, so. And then Droll is Droll. Droll is gonna be very prevalent now. It's gonna be very prevalent going forward. Play 3 in the main, don't change it. I guarantee you'll play against the deck that they just lose hard to Droll, because pretty much every deck loses hard to Droll. I think the only competitive deck that doesn't lose hard to Droll would probably be Memento, because a lot of their stuff just dumps to grave and summon and pop and all this stuff, so just be aware of that. Honorable mentions, these are the cards that I, again, just want to remind people of, but I didn't feel like they were the upper echelon of cards, but they're very niche, and if you can make them work for you, then kudos. Xyz Encore, cool. It's very niche, but when you need it, you need it. Monster Reborn, the quick play Monster Reborn. It's interesting. It can very much interrupt your opponent, especially against Mitsurugi. When they're trying to summon Ame, you can actually Monster Reborn Ame yourself. Granted, you can't use its pop effect or everything, but it gives you that protection of knowing it won't be used. And it has other applications too, Memento, Rizal, there's a whole lot of applications that you can just snipe something out of your opponent's graveyard. And if you want to main it going first, you can set it and interrupt their combo. So there's a lot of applications for it. I don't think it's the best card, but I feel like somebody can cook with it. I'm trying it in my White Forest deck. I'm gonna side 2 and main 1 and just kind of see where it goes. We're gonna go to locals, and I will have videos of locals coming out now, being able to record locals, have the audio, lighting, and everything good. Because I want to produce good quality for you guys, and I have my own standards, but yeah, Monster Reborn. And then Anti-Spell Fragrance. It's at 1. There's not a whole lot of decks that can abuse it. White Forest, though, we can abuse it, because I can Foolish it, I can make Queen Diabell, add it back to hand, and then set it. Guys, White Forest just is the broken deck. I'm saying, White Forest is just the GOAT deck. I don't know why more people are not giving this deck more credit, because we can do the craziest things. So yeah, Anti-Spell Fragrance, it's at 1. You pair that up with a Strike, or you pair that up with Deck Lockdown, your opponent's not doing a damn thing, because the Anti-Spell would protect you from Lightning Storm, it'd protect you from Duster, it'd protect you from everything. So, it's kind of like in the olden days of, last format of Imperm plus Nib, you probably won that against your opponent. Same thing with Deck Lockdown Anti-Spell, or Anti-Spell plus, Strike. Then, you gotta, like I said, you gotta do more than just one hand trap in this format. You gotta throw everything you can at your opponent, because they're throwing everything right back at you. And then some cards that I think are very interesting that are definitely, like I said, just cards to keep in mind. If you can use them, cool. Gravekeeper's Inscription. This card is insane. Especially if you play a deck where one of those doesn't matter to you and it matters very much to your opponent. It's that added layer of going first. Or you can also do it as a board breaker. If they can't banish cards from their graveyard and you're playing against Malice, then they're kind of forced to shotgun everything, because then White Binder can't banish everything from the graveyard, like the Cryptor, the Red Ransom, everything, and then special summon it back. They're forced to let it slide, or they gotta shotgun everything in the chain, meaning 06 or, Bestial, or however they ended, They have to like get White Binder going, otherwise they're gonna lose it. And then card effects in the graveyard, insane. And then neither player can special summon from monsters from the graveyard, insane. Like all three of those are insane, and being able to call any one of them, like if you don't care about special summoning from the graveyard, but your opponent is Malice and they care about the banishing effect, or, you know, for me example, activating cards in the graveyard, you know, it's a card that I just want to bring to everyone's attention, that it's a great card. Pick up your 3 copies, it's at 3, and just play around with it and see what you can do. Maybe you realize like, okay, I can kind of play this, but again, I will preface that this has to be the start of main phase 1. You can't go full combo and then do it, or main phase 2. This is literally the first card you play for your turn. So yeah, DD Crow, it's more of like going forward. From this point forward, I think DD Crow is gonna be mid. It's gonna be mid, but being able to play 3 and not once per turn, you know, for the competitive scene, there's a lot of problems you can just banish and not deal with, right? It sucks that it targets, but you know, DD Crow just, I feel like comes in and out. It was really powerful during Snake Eye format. It was really powerful during the Tenpai format. DD Crow, just don't forget about it. And then the last honorable mention is Retaliating Sea. I see that the OCG is in their format where, you know, Draco Tails, Yummy, all those decks are now out. Luna Lights, everything is pretty much out for them. Retaliating Sea is definitely a tech choice that they're using. And again, I will always say that the OCG and the TCG and, you know, Master Duel, they're all very different formats, different ban lists and everything, but they also have different rules. But that's not to say their tech choices are always gonna be wrong. So Retaliating Sea, pick up 3 copies, hold on to them. Who knows what comes of it. And just have in case you might need it. You know, whatever the format develops into, post the next 2 sets coming out, 3 sets coming out, just have it. It's one of those cards where it's better to have before the prices spike, when people realize it's the GOAT card and then the prices spike and then you're paying, you know, an arm and a leg for a copy. So yeah, that's, I just want to make a quick video for this. Definitely gonna be pumping out a little bit more content now that we got everything kind of set up more or less. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys got any questions or anything that I missed, or cards that you guys also want to bring up to light for everyone, leave in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.